Hey everybody, surprise live. I wasn't planning on going live today, so surprise! I can't do this without thanking my Patreons, and recently on Patreon I had a few special offers on consultations. I always let them know when things are happening first, as well as I've been polling them on what kind of content they want to see on TikTok. So very thankful to all of them. When you see this replayed on YouTube, they will be listed below. So yeah, let's get this started. I just started this, and really I didn't come with anything to say in particular. So hi Texas. Yeah, where's everybody coming from? Either where you've come from or if you've seen something you can't explain. Thank you. Another cider purchase. How am I? I'm doing all right. It's been raining a lot today, so I'm missing the vitamin D, but yeah, things have been fine. Hello, New York, Houston, Texas, Wisconsin. Hello. I used to live in DC, so to the question about Maryland, I was around Maryland for different TV filming, and I really enjoyed Baltimore, actually. Oklahoma, California, Philly, Louisiana. Hi everybody. Thanks for coming on the live. New houses can be haunted, yes. Spirits can move, and you have to consider how old the land is that your house was built on. I actually have a recent video on a man finding his dog, and that whole story happened before the apartment complex was completed, so I'd recommend checking that out. So hello everybody. I saw California, Nevada, Williamsburg is the most haunted place you've ever been to. Cool. Yeah, I'm very happy in the relationships that I have. To the one who wanted to ask me out, I don't know you. So I'm not accepting those requests over a live to people that I've never met before. Hello from St. Augustine. Thank you for watching my videos. Let's see, there was a question of, can I see locations of where things or objects came from? Is that what you're asking? It depends on how much of an imprint was on that particular object. So sometimes it's a kind of clairtangency, being able to either touch that, or it can be also a kind of claircognizance or a clairvoyance. And it's kind of using all three of those to kind of figure that out. So it really just depends on how strong the energy from that place is on that particular item. Hello, Texas. Arkansas, hello. I see my mods on here. Surprise live to my mods. I didn't tell any of you about this, so I'm glad some of you were able to show up. I was just like, I don't know, today I put on makeup because I was filming for my course that I am super excited about. So if you're interested in learning about when I'm going to be releasing that, subscribe to my website newsletter. I only put out newsletters like 4 times a year, so I won't spam you or anything like that. But yeah, I put on makeup today for that, so it was funny doing consultations in makeup. Usually I try to be like really casual with people. Hello from Bama. Hello. Any advice on how you can support your daughter who is 3 who sees spirits? Yeah, I work with some parents as well as caretakers of people with different learning differences and different things going on. So I would say, especially for the younger ones, or if they're having trouble speaking, and be aware, fear makes it hard to speak. So this is good in general. Teach or have them make up their own action to basically create some kind of signifier of they're seeing something, they're experiencing something. And I would encourage you to make an empowering action. So think of superheroes that they like. Think of fantasy things that they may like, or think of the shows that they watch and like any magical shows, anything like that, and ask them. I actually used this example today with somebody in a consultation. I was watching She-Hulk last night, and one of the things she does is this, and it like creates this wave effect that knocks people over. So you can do this spiritually and maybe like do like that. I always tell people if a person got too close to you and you didn't do this, you might do this, right? Some people actively will do this because they don't want anything to get too close to them. You can do that spiritually. It's just kind of shoving that out farther. So especially with kids or people who you're having trouble understanding, or there's some kind of language barrier there, either through development or just how it is, encourage them to create some kind of thing. So that way, if you hear a or like a like across the house, you know what they're experiencing, and you can go into the room and also support them with that, and also say, okay, what are we doing? Where is it at? Okay, and we clap and we push. And where does it go? Out the room, out of the window, out of the house. Build them up. Really, with all of these things that I talk about with parents, it's just building your kids up, empowering them. Even if, like, let's just say it's entirely imaginary, you're still showing them that you support them enough to empower them so that they can handle their own things, and that if they need your help, you will show up. And I just think that's such a powerful message. So thanks for all the likes, everybody. Let's see. Hello, everybody. Let's see. For somebody who asked who the ghost man is next to me, out of frame, if you aren't, I think a lot of the commenters, my regular followers, probably know who that is. So anywho, hello everybody. Let's see. Are guardian angels and spirit guides an interchangeable concept? I think that really has to do with what you personally believe in. So for me, I would consider angels a subsect of deity, if you will, or a kind of demigod. Now, I know traditional Christians would not agree with me on that. And I know the whole point of Christianity is it's monotheistic. Though when you compare it to other religions who also have these representatives who work for something in particular, like I think of Saint Francis. He's there for animals, right? And another variety of things, but I think of him and I think of animals. So that is a representation of a higher power, right? So as far as guides go, those are assigned to you specifically. So when I've done readings before, deities and angels can sometimes show up, but are they assigned to you specifically for your life goals and what you're doing? I've noticed some of the older deities or the lower level tiers of angels, and when I say lower level, I just mean less responsibility everywhere else. They might be assigned to somebody specifically, or they may assign themselves to somebody specifically. Typically though, the more responsibility an angel has, it kind of gets up into like the deity level of they may not be around all the time. They may have an essence that affects you in a positive way. And that's the same way that deities work too. Some people can actually do deity readings on someone and be like, your essence equals this, or your essence speaks of this. Some people can also do that for angels as well when applied to the same kind of context. So energetically speaking, I guess for the record, for what it's worth, for the 300 of you that are here right now, energetically speaking, angels can feel kind of like deities sometimes. Maybe not the bigger one, the collective consciousness, but they do feel like a higher power that represents a lot rather than a few. So all of that goes back to say, if you want to work with an angel, great. If you want to work with a deity, great. You work with whatever calls to you or you feel called to working with, and just try it out. Be respectful, see how things go. I oftentimes say work with because that's really how I see it. It's a nature of working with one another. It's a collective sort of relationship. So I hope that answered your question. But yeah, spirit guides are like they are assigned to you specifically rather than like a large representation of what saints and angels and other higher beings may be. So, anywho, doop-a-doop. I do talk to ghosts. Somebody asked if I talk to ghosts. I do. So, okay, can I tell if your dad is with you as a guide? So I don't do readings through live. There are almost 400 of you at this point, and that's a lot of energy that can get really messed up. It is something that I do look at in consultations. What I will say though is the difference between a past loved one and a guide is perspective. I have seen this happen before with past loved ones where basically they put their bias and they put essentially their life behind. Like they still remember it, but they put it behind themselves to say, I want to tune in to the higher purpose of the person that I am staying back to hang out with for whatever reason. So instead of them having their own life goals and journeys and lessons, they say, all right, I have achieved what I've come here or even in spirit to achieve. And so sometimes I'll see it as a kind of like a cocoon process, not like literally, but you know how caterpillars turn into butterflies, right? So they put that aside and they can become higher guides by doing that. Now, on the broader perspective, if you have somebody who's in spirit, they can be a kind of spiritual guardian or guide, right? Ghosts, if you know them well and they're in the present, yes, they can be guides as well because they're in spirit and they can tip you off on things that are going on. Though when it comes to like guides and how well they know what your life is about and what you need to achieve, that's the key difference. So broadly, past loved ones can be guides. On the more specific point, they to be a guide, you level up in some way, or you become at peace or at balance or something like that. That's at least what I found in my experience. And I always want to bring it back to, I'm speaking according to the experiences that I have had by talking with many of you and having consultations and meeting many spirits over the years that I've been reawakening and doing this sort of thing. So once again, I always say, my experience may differ from yours, and that's entirely fine. This world is filled with many mysteries and curiosities and unique personal experiences, and I just want to honor all of that with everything that I say. So, let's see. Moving down the line. Would I consider Rupert a guide? He is like a guide in that he kind of looked up. I've got like a chair here. He was kind of like, huh? And then he just made a saucy remark on how if he's the guide, I should listen to him more. Anyway, so he still has the bias of him as a person. He's still achieving different goals for his life in spirit. Though I also know that he is very attuned with his higher self as well as my guides. So there is an active conversation going on there. So he's like, once again, in the sense that he is in spirit and can act as my guide because I am incorporeal, yes. Is he like a higher guide who like helped to plan out my life and is here to help me achieve big goals? It kind of depends on how deep he goes into perspective. That being said, I do know that he regularly does check in, once again, with my higher self, my guides, and that kind of thing to make sure that we're on the right track. Anywho, let's see. Oh, hey, thanks. Thanks for being here. Kim, you're like, I'm super new and I'm happy to be here. Yeah, thanks for being here. Okay, so Awesome Grandma Roxy asks, when you ask a person who is passed on, do they hear you? I called on my mom to watch, I'm assuming what you meant, your granddaughter. So I believe so, yes. Now, here's some tips, and this is why I say everybody can have this connection to spirits at some capacity, okay? I am not a gatekeeping medium. There's some mediums out there that are like, oh, you can only do this if you were given the gift. I hate that. I really do. I really do think we all have a spiritual connection, either to each other or to a conscious collective, and especially to those who you love and who love you. So, with that in mind, basic answer, yes. When you speak to them, they hear you. More complicated answer, and here's where I'm going to give you a few tips. When you are speaking to them, you're probably already doing this, but just kind of consciously think about it too. Think about what they feel like, their energetic signature, because that is entirely unique to them. It's more unique than a name, what they feel like to you, okay? So think on that. Maybe you can also say their name too. You can imagine what they look like in your head or where they would be. And then when you have that thought, think it to them. And don't overthink this either, because it's like, okay, I've got the energetic signature in the name and in my head. No, you're probably already doing it. But if you just want a little bit more self-awareness when you're doing that, you can kind of follow those steps and be like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And if you want to start to open up to seeing if you can get those responses or perceive those responses, give them the space and time of quiet, of being able to sit and connect. I'm not going to go into too many details on that because I am releasing a course on that, which is super exciting. I'm not entirely sure when it's going to come out, though it's going to come out as soon as possible and before the book. Because books take a lot longer than making videos and slideshows and that sort of thing to put up with the course. So if you want information on that, it's going to be on my website, and I will notify everybody through my website newsletter. I only put out for a year because I don't want to spam anybody. That's no fun. So yeah. I will also say too, when connecting with past loved ones, they may not always be directly in front of you when you communicate with them. Please don't take that as an insult. Spirits have things to do. You never know who they're going to be hanging out with and why. They may be attending something or attending someone that, you just might not be aware of at the time. So all things to consider, but understand it's kind of like, rather than having a conversation with them face to face, it's kind of like sending a text and being like, hey, I was thinking of you. Send that off. It hits the energetic signature. It gets to them and they're still able to perceive it. I know that because I was doing that without realizing it with a few ghosts down here. That's part of what happened in the Ghost Gets One playlist in particular. I did not know that I was talking to a lot of them a lot of the time, and I did not believe in myself nearly as much as I should have. And so now I tell all of you, hey, when you want to talk to somebody directly, you absolutely can. You might as well be aware of it so that you know that you're doing it. All right. So, going down. Downtown Wilmington is haunted in my humble experience. Thank you, Bigfoot. I love how that's coming from Bigfoot too. It's like, downtown Wilmington is haunted from Bigfoot. So, yeah. Let's see. This is from Jill. So when you're saying I'm mad at my dead dad, he hears it. Here's the thing. And once again, you can think inside your head. It's not like constantly, you're projecting at them. Though if you have unsaid words, this whole concept of like, Eenie, hi. It's okay to be angry at people who have passed. I don't like this concept of, oh, you have to let them go. They are at peace. That is invalidating your emotions. Don't. Your emotions are entirely valid on that. So if you have unsaid words with somebody who is on the other side, say them. Really say them. From my experience, people would rather you be just honest with them rather than sit there and be like, oh yeah, we're all in this terrible situation, but it's fine. Like, come on. A lot of spirits speak in emotion. They know it's not fine. They'd rather you just be honest about it. So yeah, if you have unsaid words, say them. If you need to say them a bunch of times, it is okay. That's part of your life journey, and that's a part of the past one's life journey to have to hear that to some capacity. So be true to yourself. Let's see. Scrolling down the line. Hi, everybody. What if you don't want them to hear your thoughts? Oh goodness, I guess it's like a year old now, so the video is probably hard to find, but it's in my Q&A playlist. I talk about shielding your thoughts. If you want to go and check that out and get some more information, it is there. I do regular shields, which I'm not going to get into much now because I get a lot of questions on that, and I post all of these on YouTube later. So if you want to check those out, I do recommend it. I try not to repeat the same thing in every life. That shielding will also be in my courses as well. But yeah, I would just say, when you think inside of your head, how do I describe this? It all just feels very collected, like right here. And I've had to practice this because I used to think everywhere, and sometimes I still think everywhere. Rupert knows that. I have a rotating shuffle of songs in my head at any given time. I know that's in part how my spirit guides connect with me and that sort of thing. I will just get song. I can even like do shuffle in my head, and it'll just shuffle to something random. And I project those songs sometimes, so sometimes it gets kind of loud. Anyway, tangent. So if you want to put a shield on, one thing that I do is I will imagine this sort of, I don't know why, but like it's like a World War I hat. It's like one of those World War I helmets that like goes over and has like the wide brim, and it's just totally metal. Hashtag totally metal. So yeah. Hi, ma'am. I hope you saw the video I just posted. Oh, hello from D-Day. Right. But yeah, you can create shields for yourself that do specific purposes. It's just a matter of, tilting that hat a little bit. Do I think pets see spirits? Absolutely. Oh my goodness. As I've been growing in my abilities, especially over the last few years, my pets have helped so much when it's come to validating my experiences. So yeah, something to consider with that, because people ask a lot of times, they're like, why do children and pets see spirits? They haven't been conditioned by society to not see them yet. Think about that. I mean, how do you tell a dog, you can't see that? Come on. So, yeah. Something to think about. Anywho. What are my thoughts on getting 3 scratches on the skin that can't be explained? Hey, Leah, cleanse your house. Cleanse yourself, cleanse your house. Doesn't matter what it is. You should get that out. That's non-consensual touch, right? I don't play non-consensual touch. That's not cool with me. I actually said this today to somebody. I was like, hey, that was a really scary experience. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it was. Remove it. Get it out. I have some videos on cleansing on my YouTube, and that's also going to be more in-depth on my courses as well. I can't wait to release these courses. I'm just so excited about them because it's all of these questions just wrapped up into one thing with like not only my face if you want it, but also a PowerPoint if you'd rather have that. So I am super excited about those. Once again, those will be announced on my website newsletter. I only put out 4 newsletters a year because I don't want to be annoying. So anywho, let's see, scrolling down the line. Do I believe in other life forms in the universe? Absolutely. Oh my goodness, we don't know everything about everything yet. I don't think we ever will. I hope not. Like, there's just so much out there. I want to understand as much as I can. I'm a student of science and history and the psychology, and as much as I possibly can, and that's the beauty of life. I recognize I will never understand everything, and that's so exciting to me. So yeah, I think there's all kinds of stuff out there that sometimes we may communicate with, whether we realize it or not, whether that's through technology or just going out to the beach and seeing lights. Yes, we do that on the Outer Banks. It's actually a thing. I've even asked the ghosts about it, which has been fascinating. Thanks for all your gifts. So yeah, that's always been fun. So yeah, let's see. Just going through again. Bugsy says, you've been having weird experiences and there's a dark energy in the house. What do you do? Get it out. Check out my cleansing video on YouTube. Cleansing is less about the stuff and more about your willpower. The stronger you are in yourself, the more it's going to matter when you say get out. So whether that's saying get out in the name of, fill in the blank for your deity here, get out in the name of me and my house, get out in the name of my livelihood. It's all about your willpower. That's how spirits are. That's how things work over there. So yeah, just that goes for anybody. Like really, I remember the other night I woke up upset over something, and it's since been resolved. But I remember I woke up Jay. It was like 3:30 in the morning. My partner. And I was just like, I feel terrible. I need to talk about it. And Jay, being the wonderful partner he is, he was like, okay, what's going on? And I told him, and then he got angry about it, and I got angry about it. And we were both just like, about it. And then we talked it all out, and then we breathed. And then I was like, I'm going to cleanse this room tomorrow. It wasn't even us at each other. It's just we had a lot of emotion, and it didn't need to stay cooped up in the house. So if you have a lot of emotions, that's not a problem at all. You just want to be sure that they're not acting as like gook around your house. I always say if you're going to clean your house physically, you might as well just go ahead and clean your house spiritually, because the way that dust collects in the physical, it can collect in the spiritual. So you might as well just sweep that out. Once again, I've got tips on my YouTube. I've got tips on my Q&A playlist, and I will have the best tips on my course. I'm so excited about that. Alexis asked, does everyone have a guide? Yes. Not everybody's guide is right on top of them though. And I know that can be very hard. And sometimes that is the lesson to be learned. I remember it was a weird thing, like half a year ago. Time is weird. Half a year ago, I started to rely on my guides so much, and they were really for it. They were like, all right, we want to be in on the conversations, we want to be in on the stuff, let's go. And then, consultations took off and that kind of thing, and then it was suddenly, all right, call us if you need us. And I was like, well, yeah, of course I do. You're my guides. You're supposed to. And they were like, no, you've got your own power. Don't forget that. So I got 2 lessons there. First was relying on them. Second was relying on myself. And now I call them in when necessary. As far as like when I do consults or talking with different people. And it is an ongoing conversation. I will like ping them throughout the day and I'll be like, hey, what's up? So in my experience, everyone has guides. It's just a matter of understanding that they may not always be on top of you. That might be part of your lesson at this particular time. It may be part of your journey to really reach out and find them. Remember, communication is a 2-way street. I find that the strongest guides are with the people who seek them out and work with them the most. It really is a collaboration between the physical and the spiritual on how much is going on and how much effort they're putting into each other. That's something I found in consults too. I found that some people are like, why don't they try harder? And to which I'm like, why don't you try harder? Well, I have been. I'm like, did you believe the experience you had this other day when that happened, or did you question it? And instead of saying thank you, you said, yeah, but can you try harder? Meet them both ways. Give yourself some grace, give them some grace, and understand that the relationship works both ways. I'm not saying that you're doing that in particular. I'm just saying that to anybody in particular who might need to hear that message. So yeah, let me think. It's also important to understand that how you may be perceiving guides may be different. I think, a lot of people are running around being like with this understanding that they have to see them or hear them. Well, there are other senses too. So maybe it's a matter of you two, or you and however many are trying to come to the same understanding of how you communicate with each other. I have some videos up that I posted this past week that talk about the clairsenses. I have some activities and games that follow each explanation. I would recommend really trying all of them. I mean, we all have mixed bags of strengths in different areas, so try them out. And on that tangent, let's see. Hello. Do I believe in a twin soul? Okay, so I believe that souls can be split. I've actually done some channeling on this. At one point, my soul was split 8 times. I feel like that might have been a little extra. I'm not going to say that's a lot, because when you're talking about a lot in spirit, sometimes the energy is just different there. So I know some people may be split 2 or 3 times. But that's one thing to consider. So sometimes your soul was meant to find another or something like that. That's some more stuff. Yeah, it can be like that. But all living at the same time. It's not like one's tucked away somewhere. So yeah, as far as finding your people, that's something I call a soul group. So your soul group can travel in and out of your family. It can be genetically related, or it can just be your soul group finds you in a bunch of different places. Both are great. You know, it's really just how your soul wants to live and where they want to live, however many times, in however many places, with however many different people. We all have very different purposes, and that's what makes this whole experience beautiful. So as far as twin souls, yeah, I know I'm not going to get into twin flames, because I'm not saying they're good or bad. I'm saying that everybody has a different definition of them at this point. So it's like, what does that even mean anymore? Like, I do believe that in those soul groups, you may have connections or pairs. I've even seen soul groups that are made up of 3. So it's not always, you know, this, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Why am I forgetting this? It's what a marriage between 2 people are. It's mono something. Why am I forgetting this word? I'm so far disconnected from it that I can't. Monogamous. Okay, so spirits don't necessarily have to be monogamous, just because a lot of our society is monogamous. So yeah, thank you for all of you who are like, monogamous? Yeah, so spirits may have more than one partner, and that's cool too. Like, there's a lot of, I love if all of you were like, monogamy. I appreciate all the comments while I was like, the whole time. So yeah, are generational curses real? I was told you're told you have one, and you're with your mom and daughter. I think so. They can be released though. It's a matter of finding the source of where they came from. Actually, I guess she'd be considered a colleague of mine, Krista Capers, she works with emotion coding. I believe her business is called Atlas Emotion Coding. She assists with figuring out where those things are, like which life or which generation or that kind of thing, allowing you to release them. Her information is actually on my website. If you go to Vetted Practitioners, that page on my website, and all my links are in my bio, you can find her there. And she can explain her process better than I can. So yeah, let's see with that. Sometimes it's a matter of like acknowledgement. I've also seen curses move down the line of soul. So like you may be in different families, but the curse follows your soul. I actually dealt with one of those personally. Let's see, this was 1, 2, 3 lives ago, this is a life that I haven't talked about publicly, and I won't be going into detail just because of the nature of that life. Though in that particular life, my past life made a deal with someone that followed. And yeah, he has shown up a number of times, usually when I'm really depressed. That's not cool. He got too close when I was in college. I'll be real, I didn't know what my thoughts were versus his thoughts. And really the way that I dealt with him was I acknowledged him, and I keep him at a distance. I could sever that connection if I wanted to. I have done a lot of thinking on it. And since he is not affecting my day-to-day life in any kind of way, negative, positive, etc., he's at a distance, once again. Because he's not affecting anything whatsoever, I keep him at a distance because we may need to talk at some point. That's all I'm going to say. Now, this is me coming from having a pretty steady communication with that. Not everybody's going to be comfortable with that, and yes, you can sever that. So I know if I were going to do that, I need to go back to the source in that past life and basically play out that memory of when she made that deal, and have me step in and say, no, this gets cut right now. So it's kind of like mental health work. Mental health and spirit work are really like this. So yeah, if you need assistance with that, like whether it's a generational curse or something like that, I would recommend you can talk to a regressionist, and instead of focusing on past life, you can focus on past generations and figure out when that happened. You can tap into that energy to figure out when that happened, and then basically, as it was not consensual based upon you and your life right now, that's when you cut it. All of that was really vague. Well, not necessarily. It does depend on each individual situation. So yeah, for all these two, if you want to talk more about that, I do offer quick chats and general consultations. My general consultations don't involve mediumship or psychicness. They're really just if you want to pick my brain. So if you have specific stuff and you just want to like talk to me about it and ask me questions, that's exactly what that's for. The reason why I offer it is because that's what I wanted. When I was growing, I was like, classes are cool, but I really just want to talk to somebody. Like somebody that I can just ask things of and just pick their brain and that kind of thing. So I offer it to people now. Anywho, so yeah. Have I ever done shrooms? Personally, no. Though so long as they're done safely, my personal opinion on any recreational things is so long as they are done safely and consensually, then you do you. Let's see. I'm just reading through some things. Yeah. Let's see. Moon and Sun asked, do I get ear pops when spirit tries to communicate with you, your right ear pops? Okay, so I do not get the ear pops. However, I actually get heat on my ear sometimes. I do know people who do get ear pops though. So that is a sign of clairaudience, and it's kind of like from there you have to kind of tune in to how you're able to make that connection. Like literally sometimes during consults I'll sit there and do this. I found myself doing that the other day, and I was like, just letting you know I'm tuning into the frequency. Which yes is ridiculous, but hey, if you're gonna be talking with me, it's gonna be a ridiculous time. That's just what it is. It should be fun. I don't think any of this should be scary or too serious unless it needs to be, so I'm just like, let's have fun. You don't need to do this, but it just makes me feel better. It's kind of like sometimes getting our psychic senses to work with us is kind of like flipping through radio channels. So if that's what you have to do, that's fine. But yeah, one thing I would recommend for any kind of clairsense that you're experiencing, simply when it happens, acknowledge it. You don't have to say it out loud, but simply consciously say, all right, I hear you, or all right, I'm picking up on you. This is how we're working. Or just explain to them, all right, I'm feeling this right now. Can you tune it up? Can you tune it back? Ask them to work with you. I do this with a lot of spirit guides. Sometimes they come at me with a lot. I'm like, all right, one subject at a time. Thank you so much. So yeah, if they want to talk to you, they are going to be willing to work with you. That's just how compromise works. So yeah, let's see. Okay, from Lexi, how do we help ourselves believe the spiritual stuff going on around us? I still get doubts sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Here's something I tell people in consultations as well. I don't think doubts are bad. I really don't. I think doubts keep us alive longer, right? So example, if you are too small to see the top of the stove, and your parental figure is like, hey, don't ever put your hand up there because you never know when it's going to be hot. So even if nobody's in the kitchen, right? If you've got that running through your brain, it's your doubt of whether or not the stove is on that's going to keep you from putting your fingers on there, right? So that's when I say not all doubt is bad, okay? The difference is, does your doubt keep you from doing what you want to do? And here's what I would suggest on that. So I like to imagine the brain as a bunch of rooms in a house. And you can have the spiritual experiences room. You can have the psychic abilities room. You can have, the channeling room, or the artistic room, or the writing room. So those are cool. Have those rooms. Give them their space. They're all creative things, right? Then you need a hallway. And then you can have other rooms. You can have the doubt room. You can have a science room. You can have the history room, psychology room. You can have as many rooms as you want. They need to be different rooms. Doubt room and channeling room, they are so different. They gotta be split apart. So imagine that too. If you're like seeing something or experiencing something, and then something creeps up and it's like, this isn't real, like, ask yourself, be like, hey, does that thought belong in the doubt room? Like, really ask yourself. You know the answers, go with the first answer you get. A grounded answer is going to feel just like that. It's not going to feel like, well, like, that's not a grounded answer. It's going to be, yes, grounded in the core, or no. So yeah, organize your thoughts a little bit. It can really help. And I'd also say, don't be too hard on yourself. I tell this story a lot, where I was in a bar downtown. It's called Cape Fear Wine and Beer. It's got a variety of spirits. And this was when I was first opening or reopening to my abilities again. So I didn't have shields up. I didn't know. I was just kind of like, sometimes I have experiences. And that was really it. So I'm sitting there with my cider, right? And I start getting the sense that somebody's walking nearby. And I was like, okay, somebody's walking nearby. I'm like, this is interesting. And the funny thing with that bar is, in the evening time especially, even if the bar is mostly empty, it always feels crowded. Anywho, so I'm sitting there, and I feel like somebody's walking by. So I'm just like, okay. And then they walk behind me, and I'm like, all right. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing one of their memories. Like, through my mind's eye, I remember I kind of like fuzzed out a little bit. I'm like kind of looking at the table. And then in my mind's eye, I'm seeing the last moments of this guy's life. I could hear things, once again, through my mind's ear, eye, that kind of thing. It was like replaying a memory. And I could hear a lot of commotion going on nearby, but this guy was on his knees in a furnished room. And there were, let me think, I think there were 3 guys, but one of them, it was hard to see because he was obscured by the guy that was in front of this guy. And this guy was holding one of these right to the head. So I'm seeing it right at my head, and I'm frozen. And I, like, the last thoughts that are going through my head are, it was something, was it like, so, sorry, I just like totally cliffhangered you. So it's been a while since I did tours and told stories like this, which I never told these stories in the tour because they were mine. Anyway, I just remember thinking, like, what's going to happen? And then pow. And then I was out. And I'm like staring there with my cider again. And I was like, what? And he's behind me, and he was just like, he said his name, and then he said his age, and then he said, no one knows this happened here. No one ever found me. And I was like, okay, that was a lot. Like, what do you want? And he was just like, I just want somebody to remember my name. And I was like, okay. And then he just sort of faded out. I was like, okay. Now, all of that to say, I had that experience, and then while I was waiting for a friend to come back from the bathroom, they come back from the bathroom, and I was just like, well, that was weird. I don't even think I mentioned it at the time, because I was just like, what just happened? Like, what did I just see? Like, I'm holding my cider, and I'm like, ah. And what also didn't make sense was in that building, I mean, it was a bar at the time, and a lot of buildings in Wilmington, they've been a lot of different things. And I didn't know what it was from when this guy was there, and it didn't make any sense to me, because I was just like, wait, where was the room that he was in? I'm so confused. It sounds like a lot more bustling, but not like bar bustling, like there's nice music going on. Like, what in the world is going on? Well, I just kind of sat on that for like 5 months, because I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have historical documentation on this. At the time, I didn't even know how to find the name and like all this stuff, which is reminding me I need to find the name. I remember, that matters, right? So 5 months later, I'm back at that bar with a friend of mine, and we're having a drink, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, oh, well, you know, this used to be a hotel. I was like, excuse me, what? It's one story over a basement. How does that work? And he's like, yeah, it used to be a hotel. It used to be 5 stories. The top 5 stories actually burned down, but the ground floor was spared. And he was talking about how oftentimes they would have parties down in the lobby. There would be these big affairs, really nice rooms, really nice places, and that there was a lot of mob activity. And I'm listening to this, and I'm just like, what? And I asked him, I was like, so I don't know, would it maybe make sense that somebody might have a very tragic end in this building and might wind up in the river, maybe? And the guy was like, well, yeah, that did happen during that time. The mob kind of ran the town during the time of Prohibition, let's be real. And so I was like, cool, I just got confirmation that what I just saw actually goes back to something that I would have experienced. Ooh, is there food?
There's food.
Okay, I'm gonna end this. You all are awesome, but food. So, final part of the tale is, just because you can't explain something immediately doesn't mean that you won't be able to explain it at some point. So don't discount your experiences. Get curious about them. See what you can find about them, and trust that you're gonna figure out things when you are meant to figure them out, even if it's 5 months later, randomly at a bar with a different drink in your hand. So, everybody, thanks for tuning in. I've been on for about an hour now, so it was great to see everybody for the surprise live. Thank you to my mods again for being here. I so appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreons, and remember, all the courses, books, everything, all that will be announced on my website newsletter. I only put out 4 of those a year because I don't want to spam you, and all that information is available on my website. So I hope everybody has a great night, day, wherever you are, and I'm gonna go eat some delicious food. So have a great evening. If I can end this. There we go.